watch this video and I will tell you what I think. Then share this video so that other people will learn. This is very important because I'm going to tell you my thoughts after you have watched the speech made by Nnamdi Azikiwe. Watch this video.
From the information at my disposal, the cabinet decided to transfer power to him as the general officer commanding the armed forces. It means an abdication of power. And it means then the suspension of the president, the prime minister, the 4 regional governors, and the 4 regional premiers. In other words, the civilian authorities have found it impossible to maintain law and order and have transferred same to the military authorities until law and order can be maintained.
Are you or your cabinet setting a time limit on this assumption of power?
I'm not in position to say because I wasn't there. But the acting president, in a telephone conversation to me, merely mentioned that cabinet met and unanimously and voluntarily agreed to abdicate power. I'm assuming in the light of previous practice elsewhere in the world that it will be temporary.
But this military government could last 6 months or a year or even 2 years.
That's been the case in other parts of the world, and I wouldn't rule that out.
Now, we all know Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the first Governor General of Nigeria and the pioneer of independence in Nigeria. And then this speech was the speech he gave after Ironsi was handed over power. Okay? After power was handed over to Ironsi, this was the speech he gave in London. But then I was thinking about this whole thing and I realized that it wasn't constitutional for the politicians to hand over power to the Chief of Army Staff in the person of Major General J.T. Ironsi. It wasn't constitutional, but it happened anyway. If such things could happen, it also implies that Nnamdi Azikiwe could have done something differently when the Prime Minister wasn't around and the Premier of the Northern region wasn't around and a few people went missing. He could have done something differently. And I think that even if he did what I was thinking that he should have done, the counter coup that happened in July would have happened again. Because if the remaining politicians who was being led by Dr. Nwafo Rizu, who was the president of the Senate, of the Nigerian Senate at that time, but then always remember that the Governor General Nnamdi Azikiwe was away on leave when the coup happened. Okay, and then when the coup happened, he was on leave, but the acting Governor General was Nwafo Rizu, the president of the Senate. I think, this is my opinion anyway, I think that what Nnamdi Azikiwe would have done differently is that he should have made a speech, he should have returned to Nigeria, and as the Governor General, he should have made a speech. Since the Prime Minister is missing, he should have appointed another person on a temporary basis to the office of the Prime Minister. And the most likely person he should have appointed, or he could have appointed, is Dr. Nwafo Rizu, the President of the Senate. That's the person he could have appointed to the office of the Prime Minister on a temporary basis, because, I mean, he wasn't elected. And then, if he had appointed Dr. Nwafo Rizu, I think what happened in July of 1966 will still happen, because now a person from the East is the Governor General, a person from the East is the Prime Minister, and a person from the East is the Chief of Army Staff. And then what he could have done differently is that he could have charged the Chief of Army Staff, to bring his boys back to the fold, because the truth is that Ironsi did not need any political powers in order to arrest Zogu, who was in charge in Kaduna, but Ironsi is in charge in Lagos. Okay, when political power has not been handed over to Ironsi didn't need any political power in order to bring his boys, to call his boys back to order, because all those boys were under his command. Even if they are in charge in Kaduna, all those boys are under his command. So he did not need any political powers. The only thing Ironsi needed, are the military powers that he already has in order to arrest those boys who are not in line with what the nation wants them to be. Because I mean, this is a coup, this is mutiny. Okay, so if it wasn't constitutional, but the cabinet met and held a meeting and decided to hand over power to the military, and that wasn't constitutional. Now, if the governor general makes a speech to promote someone else and then appoint them to the office of the prime minister on a temporal basis, because he has the powers to invite the prime minister to form a government in the first place. So if there is no prime minister, he also stands the opportunity to declare a state of emergency and also promote somebody, appoint someone, and the most likely person he's going to appoint for that office is Dr. Nwafo Rizu. That's the most likely person that he would appoint, because I mean, he's already the president of the Senate. So what do you think? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let me just share your thoughts in the comment section.